So my journey as an amputee started 30 years ago. It was a car accident. It was Easter Monday evening. I was a passenger in the car and we were on our way back from a gig in Benoni. And I was in hospital for the longest time with a lot of internal injuries. My leg was the least of their worries. I lost my leg above the knee, woke up 10 days later, was in hospital for a couple of months. That's how I became a right above knee amputee. So I first found Marco. It was about 7 years after I lost my leg. I was wearing a state leg, built by the state. Very old-fashioned technology, wasn't fitting. The knee had broken. And there was no social media back then, so there was no support group system at all. And I was kind of resigned to living my life in discomfort. And then the knee broke. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it one more shot. If I can just get another knee, and possibly I could be mobile for a little bit longer. And I remember trawling the internet and kind of looking for someone that might just give me a price on a knee, because that's what I thought. Just get a new knee. And I found a story about a man who was helping a little black girl somewhere out in a rural place, and she had to walk to school 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers every day, and she was an amputee. And he had stepped up and he had built her this leg. And the story was, I think it was a current story. So either he was handing the leg over, or it had just happened. But there was Marco Du Plooy, and he looked like a nice person. And it was eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I mean, really. So I phoned him and I asked him how much a knee cost. And he said, well, you know, maybe it's not the knee that you need. I said, it's the knee. I just need a knee. Just tell me how much it is. And he said to me, just come in and see me. I won't charge you. Just come in and see me. Let's assess you. Let's have a look what's happening. Because, I mean, it's crazy to stay in a socket, a state-built socket for 7 years, never mind anything else. And I didn't want to come, because I thought it was pointless. I was resigned to living in a chair or on crutches. Anyway, I came through and he said to me, you need a socket first before anything else. And you need a knee, and you need and I cried the whole way through, but it was the first time in 7 years that anyone had sat me down and explained to me what was happening, and explained to me what different sockets were on the market and why they were so important, and what different knee options I had. And he built me my first socket that worked, that didn't hurt. It was bright yellow and red. It was like a Japanese flag. And he took me out, it was 7 or 8 years down the line. He took me out to a parking lot and he taught me how to walk. So I feel like those 7 years were lost. I just lost them. As an amputee, I just lost them because I didn't know anything. And he kind of just scooped me up and said, let me build you a socket, let me teach you, And I've been with him since. I've had many, many, many sockets from him, many different types of sockets, many different types of knees. He nearly dragged me up Kilimanjaro, but you know, I have my limits. And he's dragged me into the sea. I am mobile because of that man, and only because of his graciousness. That's it. Marco is an artist when it comes to prosthetics, and a lot of people aren't. They build by the book, and they churn out legs, and that's what they do. And Marco has a very, he likes to try different things and experiment. And he's taken me along that journey with him, where he wants to try. There was a new Mexican socket, for example, around about 2005, I think. called a Maz socket that you had to go and train for in Mexico, and it was very difficult to build, very, very difficult, because it has to fit exactly right, or it will nail you and cripple you, and you will land up on the floor. So we went through that journey together, trying to build the perfect Maz socket, which was quite an intimate experience, the way it fits inside of the thigh, and you have to have a very, very good relationship with your prosthetist as an above-knee amputee when it comes to fitting, because most of the time they should take you out for lunch afterwards, you know. But so we worked for 12 months on a Maz socket. We're working on another socket now that is no one else has. It's been exciting, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to get to try new things, and he is genuinely interested in getting people more than mobile. And a lot of people are not. There was a prosthetist in America, his name was Al Pike. He passed away probably a decade ago, but he used to say that the art of prosthetics is getting lost. He used to say that to me. And he said to me that in the past, any prosthetist could look at a leg, I'm talking about 20 years ago, and say, I know who built that leg, because you could see the prosthetist touch. And these days you can't, you absolutely can't. You know, it's like they churn them out of a box. And Marco still practices the art of prosthetics, very much so. So my advice to another amputee or a new amputee would be, I think number one, you have to get your socket right. That's what you have to get right. And with all the media going on now, people are punting these wildly expensive microprocessor knees and bionic knees and best things since sliced bread, and that is not the case at all. If you don't have a socket that fits, it doesn't matter how expensive your knee is, you're not going to walk. You're not going to walk. I remember going to an amputee conference and just sitting there. I actually went with Marco, and we were watching all the amputees there, and all of them, it was in another country, had these wildly expensive knee units that at that time were 600,000-700,000 plus. They had bionic feet, so we're talking 100,000 Rand there. They had 20,000 Rand covers over the knees, and they were all in electric wheelchairs. It was, we just sat there, we couldn't believe it, and they could not walk. They couldn't walk, and their sockets were not fitting. So socket fit is the first thing. Don't worry about what kind of knee or foot you're going to get. The next most important thing is your suspension, and your suspension is how the socket stays on you. So that's got to be 100%, and I think a lot of the time we forget about suspension. And the leg, if anyone ever says my leg feels heavy, it means the suspension is wrong. So you need the socket first, then you need suspension. Then you can start looking at entry-level knees and entry-level feet. It doesn't matter, as long as you've got a socket that doesn't hurt you every step you take. You're going to walk far better than someone with a R1 million leg where the socket is not fitting. So for me, the advancement of prosthetics is not an exciting thing when I look to the future. I think they're overpriced. I don't want to see a new bionic leg that you can swim with and surf with, and I want to see knees and feet that we can put on people to get them mobile. Prosthetists, a lot of prosthetists these days they're not being mentored by another prosthetist who treats it as an art. So they're not learning the fine details of individualizing sockets. I mean, A lot of prosthetists don't even build by hand anymore. So it works for a lot of people, taking measurements if you're not a difficult fit. But the minute you become a difficult fit, or you have little curves and in places where a socket could possibly hurt you, you need a prosthetist who is an artist and is skilled enough to build you a socket so you can use the fancy bionic components that the media tells you you have to have, or you can't live your best life. But without the socket, they're absolutely meaningless. So we need more prosthetists willing to take young prosthetists under their wings and teach them and grow this passion. That's the one thing Marco has, is this passion for mobility. He's always trying something new, and he really cares. This is very important. He really does care.